What's up, guys? How are we doing? Happy Sunday. Chuck Silver here with Occupy Fantasy. Shout out to Brian for filling in for me last Sunday. We're back tonight with a pretty nice showdown slate. We have Detroit visiting Philadelphia. Start with the injury report real quick because it's kind of significant today. We're kind of expecting most of the questionable guys for the Lions to play, but we'll have to wait and see the injury report that's going to come out in about 1 hour. So Sam Laporta's on the IR. Brock Wright is expected to start. He's questionable himself. We're expecting him to play. Should he play, the coach alluded to trusting him. And so we're going to expect him to have a large role, probably filling in for Sam Laporta. Behind him is Ross Dwelly. If Brock Wright ends up missing, then he's really the next guy up. He hasn't ran that many routes this year. Only has one target maybe. So we can look at him. He's the min price, but we're going to expect Brock Wright to play. Isaac Tesla is questionable. We don't think that he's going to play, so we're going to talk about the slate as if he's out. Sion Vaki and Jacob Sailors are questionable. They don't matter too much. And then for the Detroit offensive line, Taylor Decker is questionable and Penei Sewell is questionable. So Penei Sewell is probably the best offensive lineman in the NFL, top 3 at worst. So he would be a pretty significant hit if he's out. It's something like PFF run blocking grade. He's the best offensive lineman of like the last 15 years or something. So that would be a hit to Gibbs and Montgomery, but we're going to hope he plays. I think he injured his ankle last weekend. He ended up finishing the game. So we'll see. He was limited in practice. And then Taylor Decker is I don't know. I think he was slightly below league average left tackle, but he's still solid for who he is. So if he misses, that's going to be a hit to their offensive line as well. On the defensive side of the ball for Detroit, we have the cornerback Terrion Arnold out and the free safety Kirby Joseph out. Amik Robertson is the other cornerback. He's questionable. Those guys are all starters, but we're expecting Robertson to play. Should he miss and they're down their 2 best cornerbacks, then that's going to be a boost to Devonta Smith and Adrian Brown, who the model already likes. Yeah, thank you, Junior. All right, so looking at I need to pull up the ownerships. Looking at the captain ownership tonight, it's kind of spread out. Jalen Hurts is going to be the most popular captain. Over on FanDuel, he was the only guy projected for over 30%. I am considering just full fading him over there in my large field lineups anyway. Yeah, we have Jalen Hurts at 35% on FanDuel. After him is Saquon Barkley at 17, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 14, and Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. Everyone else is below 10%. And so I should probably point out Khalif Raymond and Brock Wright are going to be 2 of the most popular plays on the slate tonight, especially if Isaac Tesla ends up missing the game, which we're expecting him to. Khalif Raymond at 3K is going to be a pretty strong value play. And then Brock Wright is only 1,600 in the flex over on DraftKings, so he's going to be one of our preferred value plays too. Obviously, we're not really looking at this because Sam Laporta hasn't missed a game since he's entered the NFL, so we don't know what Brock Wright's role could be as the tight end 1. He did take over when TJ Hawkinson got traded a couple of seasons ago. He started the last half of that season. He did fine. And so at 1,600, we're definitely going to be interested in him. You can just think about it. If his price was properly adjusted for Sam Laporta being out, it would I'd have to think it would at least be in the 4K range, if not maybe 5K, but at least the 4K range. So we're getting a discount no matter how you look at it. So I think Brock Wright is going to be who we're looking at here. And the model kind of agrees. He is slightly lower than Khalif Raymond over on DraftKings, and then Khalif Raymond gets the nod over on FanDuel as well, but I think we should be considering both of them. I just do want to mention it's a little awkward if you're trying to fit both of them into a lineup because they make things work. Let me start with the low risk lineup for tonight. It's pretty simple. On DraftKings, we're running Saquon Barkley at captain, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Hurts, and Jared Goff. Fits perfectly with Khalif Raymond and Brock Wright, so that's okay to play both of them in the same lineup here. And then the lineup over on FanDuel is like exactly the same, just with Jalen Hurts at the MVP spot instead of Saquon. I guess you can still run Saquon, but for cash, we're just going to want to run the highest owned MVP, which is Jalen Hurts. Then you can slide in the exact same players over here. Get to Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, Khalif Raymond, and Brock Wright. That fits perfectly. Laporta did miss a game last year. Missed that on the game log. Let me take one quick look at that real quick then. Sam Laporta. Oh, he missed week 11, and Brock Wright played 82% of snaps. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Yeah, I missed that. So let's take a look what Brock Wright did in that game. Brock Wright had one target, one catch for 5 yards. It's pretty tough to just look at that and say that we're not going to be interested in Brock Wright because of that one game. Fact is, he was on the field for 82% of snaps. Let me just make sure that he ran routes on him. But, with that coach's comment from Dan Campbell, I have to think that he's going to be a part of the game plan no matter what. So let me just see how many routes he ran in that game in week 11 last year. He only ran 19, which was not great, but they didn't play that many snaps that game, actually, because that was 60% of routes that he ran while he was on the field. His one target was in the red zone, and he did catch it for a touchdown. So that's something to note. It's not really going to change my opinion on Brock Wright. We're already interested in him at that low price anyway. But I guess if you need a reason to kind of get away, there's not 100% confidence he's going to pick up all the routes that Sam Laporta is leaving behind. Nice. Eli, single entry on DraftKings. Do I like Wright if active or Dwelly better for price savings? And which pair, Gibbs Montgomery or St. Brown's and Williams? It's pretty interesting combo of players. So with Brock Wright versus Ross Dwelly is $200 over on DraftKings, which isn't great. Like, we have to be interested in the min price guy. If he ends up being the tight end one tonight, he would absorb most of the snaps. The only other tight end that they even have on the roster is Shane Zylstra, who's played 6 snaps this year. He played 6 snaps in week 1. Make sure he's active in the event Brock Wright is out. But like I said, we're expecting Brock Wright to play. So at $1,600, he's fine. I guess you can consider Ross Dwelly at $200. I'll talk about it more in a few minutes, but we don't really have any low-owned plays that we're terribly interested in today to slide into the flex. So what I'm really trying to do is get different at captain and play some of the lower-owned captains while still playing the flex plays that we like. But Ross Dwelly would open things up a little bit. I mean, the lineups would be kind of chalky if you just play the obvious builds with him in there at 200. And as for your second question, Gibbs Montgomery or St. Brown Williams. So just looking at the model today, well, if one of the linemen miss, then I'm going to like the Gibbs Montgomery pairing a lot less. But regardless of that right now, the model likes Jamison Williams. It's a coin flip in the model, yeah. Amon-Ra is like the highest ranked player on DraftKings for the Lions. He looks awesome, and so probably going to slide towards the Amon-Ra Jamison Williams side. And it's a good time to mention I like Jared Goff captain tonight. Everyone's going to be so interested in his receivers in Brock Wright, Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, depending on where you go in the industry, has the highest projection on the slate. Jamison Williams has been getting the targets and producing over the last few weeks. And Jared Goff is projected for single-digit captain and MVP ownership on both sides, which seems a little bit incorrect by the field. So that's one spot that I'd like to take advantage of. It's even lower now after I refreshed. We were showing 6% for Goff on DraftKings earlier. Now we have him projected for 3%, and he's only projected for 9% MVP ownership on FanDuel as a quarterback. So we're going to like those spots a lot. Let's take a look at one of those lineups. Jared Goff at captain. We'll get Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. Let's just play one of these guys down here. We'll do Brock Wright. Leaves us $7,500 for 2 players. We can fit in Saquon. We can do David Montgomery, which works out, and get a 5-1 Detroit stack. Could try it with maybe Devonta Smith. Does that let us get anyone else? No. So even this one is a little bit awkward with both of the top receivers and Brock Wright. Dude, Dallas Goedert. Yeah, Dallas Goedert and Devonta Smith actually works, or A.J. Brown. Slightly awkward without Jalen Hurts, but I think it's okay. Let's say you only want to get to let's fade Jamison Williams here, and let's slide in Khalif Raymond. 14,000. Yeah, that lets us get to Hurts, and we can even change Dallas Goedert to Devonta Smith. This is a pretty solid small field build, and you can kind of see what I mean about us not having these low-owned options for large fields, because I think this would be a pretty decent large field lineup too. Jared Goff is a very low-owned captain. It's just like this is kind of the obvious lineup with Jared Goff captain, right? And the optimizers are going to spit this out in everybody's exposures that have Jared Goff in their pool of captain. And so for small field, I think this is an awesome lineup. For large fields, it's still fine, but maybe you can find one other spot in here to get different. We're already leaving 800, maybe leaving a little bit more would help. Like maybe instead of Jalen Hurts, we get a little funky with Saquon Barkley. Leave 1600 here. That would be a fine option for large field too. The 3% Goff captain ownership is just, it really helps us in not having to get too weird with the rest of our lineup. Like this is probably as weird as we have to get. Eli, good question. Do I think the narrative of AJ Brown getting frustrated not getting the ball and ends up getting 10 targets tonight occurs? So, my notes that I wrote about AJ Brown today, yeah, he's been frustrated, but allegedly, we saw him have a meeting on the sideline or after the game or something with the owner of the Eagles, and allegedly what they said is that he agreed to stop publicly complaining. It's really bad for team morale, really breaks down the locker room, team chemistry stuff. So, if we can believe him and we think he's going to, put that stuff in the past, I guess, and stop being a bad teammate, then the model loves AJ Brown. So disregarding the off the field stuff, AJ Brown's a pretty good GPP play tonight. His ownership isn't super high. It's a little bit awkward because the model does prefer Devonta Smith at $400 more on DraftKings, but AJ Brown, maybe he comes in at slightly lower ownership than we're projecting. We have AJ at 11% capped and 39% in the flex on DK. Maybe he comes in just under that, and we can get some pretty good leverage on a lower owned player who's, for what it's worth, he's still a stud in this league. He's just frustrated with how the offense is going. I will mention Saquon Barkley is the highest ranked player on the model overall today. Him and Amon-Ra are kind of in their own tier over on DraftKings, and then over on FanDuel. Saquon is at the top by himself, and after that it's Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra, Jared Goff, Devonta Smith, and then Jake Elliott actually ahead of AJ Brown over on FanDuel. So that's something to note. But all that to say, I think the model is going to have us prefer Devonta Smith. Maybe those $400 from Devonta Smith to AJ Brown are useful, but Saquon Barkley is showing up as a top play on the model. He's only 9,400 over on DraftKings, 9,600 over on DraftKings. He's projected for 11% captain ownership, 35% in the flex. Over on FanDuel, he's projected for the same flex ownership, but he's up to 17% MVP, the second most popular MVP over there. I think we can get a little bit of a leverage here if we play Saquon Barkley at captain over on DraftKings. Saquon at captain. We can run him with or without Hurts in the flex, but let's just say we're hand building this lineup and we think the Eagles jump out to an early lead. Let's plug in Amon-Ra, Goff. Let's get to Khalif Raymond in this one. Leaves us 5,900 per player. It's perfectly okay to play Dallas Goedert. It leaves us 6,200 to get to David Montgomery, any of the kickers, any of the defenses. Let's see if we can fit Jalen Hurts in here, though. If we go down to Brock Wright, Jalen Hurts, it leaves us 2,800. So we're 200 away from being able to fit in Khalif Raymond. Dang, it's kind of tough. Maybe we could get slightly weird here and get Gibbs with Brock Wright and Khalif Raymond as our pairs with Jared Goff. This wouldn't be a bad one. Philly is 19th or something in rush yards allowed per game. Do I like Gibbs at captain? Yeah, we're interested in Gibbs. He's one of the top plays on both sides on the model, and he's only projected for 10% captain ownership and 12% MVP ownership. So I think the top three captain options overall are Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra, and Jahmyr Gibbs. All these guys are projected for double-digit ownership on both sites, but none of them are above 20%, which is pretty good. And especially in small field, playing one of these guys, we can kind of just plug in the best plays and maybe we chop with one or two people in smaller fields. But on tonight's slate, that seems okay. It just sounds a lot better than trying to take shots on, guys like Jahan Dotson or Will Shipley, Grant Calcaterra. And these guys are not 0% in my I think I have 100 lineups registered over on DraftKings. I'm not going to have 0% of these guys, but like I said, I'm really going to focus on these slightly cheaper captain and MVP options, and then just plug in the best plays and hope it works out. I don't really care about like rush yards allowed per game though, because Gibbs is kind of involved in the passing game too, and so Gibbs is going to get there no matter what. Not that 19th overall is anything to worry about. Yeah, Barkley captain. We like Barkley captain. Antoine Murphy all in on AJ. It's a risk. I mean, it would give you pretty great positioning if AJ Brown ends up being the high scorer on the slate, but it's a pretty high risk. Yeah, Tesla, we got to keep an eye on if he's active. I have a feeling Khalif Raymond is going to be a little more popular than he should be, even if Tesla is in, because we already have Khalif Raymond projected for. This one came down too. He was above 30% earlier. So we have Khalif Raymond at 24% on DraftKings, 23% on FanDuel in the flex. It actually seems kind of reasonable. Maybe it's still slightly high with Tesla projected in, but we just don't have that many value guys that are projected to score fantasy points tonight. So I understand it. And then Brock Wright. Where do we have Brock Wright? We actually are showing Brock Wright for 2% captain ownership on DraftKings now, 1% MVP ownership, and then 35% in the flex on both sides. So let's take a quick look at how that Brock Wright captain would look. I mean, because this really lets you do whatever you want. Brock Wright. Let's do Goff, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, you can play anybody you want. You could even get in Amon-Ra, have 6,800 left. Goddard still leaving some salary instead of Saquon. Do Jahmyr Gibbs, leave 5,800. Yeah. Goddard, Montgomery, any of the kickers, defenses. So that opens up a lot. But again, just be, depending on the size of your contest, just be aware of the duplication chance if you enter a lineup with Brock Wright captain. Because there's some pretty obvious, like very strong builds that you can make if you end up doing that. I don't hate it. If Brock Wright ends up catching a touchdown, like the fantasy scoring on both of these teams is fairly condensed. So this is probably a better night than most to go for that super cheap captain and just try to get all the guys that score 20 to 30 in the flex. Could this be a slate where you go away from QB and play as many highly projected guys as possible? I don't. So I mentioned I'm interested in getting away from Jalen Hurts at captain and MVP, but other than that, it's really easy to just play Goff and Jalen Hurts tonight. And I know personally, I have Goff projected pretty well tonight. I'll mention that the model, though, Jalen Hurts is only like the 9th ranked play on DraftKings. Jared Goff is 11. Over on FanDuel, Jalen Hurts is tied for second with Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jared Goff is 5th. So the QBs, I would lean towards not fading them on FanDuel. But if you want to get away from them on DraftKings, yeah, like let's run Jahmyr Gibbs at captain. We'll put Saquon, Devonta Smith. I guess we would get a kicker and maybe a defense in here. So let's go with Eagles defense, assuming maybe if the Lions are a little bit banged up, we'll do Jake Elliott. And it gives us 7,300 left. I mean, it's kind of an awkward salary range, but you can leave some salary, get to one of these guys. Maybe instead of Devonta Smith, we just plug in Amon-Ra, leaves us 4,900. Yeah, we can get to the other kicker. I mean, double kicker with a defense, maybe for smaller fields, this is a little bit better. And we've seen this double defense lineup. I think it won like 3 slates out of the last few. It's kind of ridiculous. Doesn't feel like the best slate to go for it again, although I'll mention the defenses are 2 of the only plays projected for under 20% ownership that are, kind of playable tonight. I mean, the other guys projected for single-digit ownership are guys like Ross Dwelly, Grant Calcaterra, Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby. That's it. Everyone else is either projected for 0% or double-digit ownership. I mean, Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles defenses are projected for 10% in the flex, under 10% in the flex on FanDuel. I'm not really considering either of them a captain, but in the flex, like those are your low-owned plays today. It's the defenses. Over on DraftKings, the kickers are projected for pretty low ownership too, around 20% versus the 30 and 40% they're projected for on FanDuel. So the kickers could slide into some low-owned plays as well. Was weather a factor? I didn't think it was. Oh yeah, the wind is up. Yeah, it's weird because the wind is up, but the Lions are missing cornerbacks, which is a boost to the Eagles' passing game. If the Lions are missing a lineman, then it's like a dock to their run game. So Not too worried about it. I mean, we already have Saquon Barkley as a top play on the slate. Jahmyr Gibbs is pretty far up there too. Not really docking anything from the passing game for this though. What's Smitty's captain ownership? Is Smitty Devonta Smith? Devonta Smith, we had projected for 6%. DraftKings captain, 3% FanDuel MVP. So let's take a look. I think Devonta Smith is a pretty great captain option, regardless of the wind advisory. But we'll put Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. Could still get Saquon. Let's plug in Jahmyr Gibbs, leaves us 3,400. So, like I said, it's a little bit awkward to do Khalif Raymond and Brock Wright, but you could actually do Philadelphia defense. Can't get to Khalif, but yeah, could do Philadelphia defense with Brock Wright. That one works out. Maybe we go down from Gibbs to David Montgomery, keep the Eagles defense, and we just fade Brock Wright and Khalif Raymond in this one. A.J. Brown's a little bit awkward, but Jameson Williams would make sense in this lineup. So yeah, Devonta Smith captain. All these low-owned captains I think are great tonight. Just mix it up if you're building a set of lineups. You like Hurts at captain? Yeah, I mean, he's projected for the highest ownership for a reason. So let's take a look at a quick Jalen Hurts captain lineup, maybe if we're trying to get a little bit different in a large field. We're going to stick with Devonta Smith. We'll fade Saquon in this one, but we'll also get to Dallas Goedert. I think you could run this lineup with Eagles defense. Let's try it without it first, though. From the Lions, can we fit in Amon-Ra? We'll go with Khalif Raymond because assuming Detroit's going to be playing catch-up here. It leaves us 6,600. A little bit awkward, but we can still get to Dave Montgomery, one of the kickers. Leaving some salary is probably one of the better things to do if you're playing Jalen Hurts captain tonight rather than trying to hit on one of these 1% plays. So this works out. It's currently very windy, but someone says it will drop off. Expected wind advisory expected to end at 7 ET, so it's in like 35 minutes. Yeah, I don't think this has got to be the worst NFL slate of the season. We've had some truly, truly awful primetime slates the last few weeks. So if this game somehow ends up worse than those, then it's a disaster. You faded Barkley and picked Gibbs. It's fine. Jameson Williams, captain. Yeah, he falls in that category of these under-owned captains we like, especially a player like Jameson Williams. I think regardless of anything else going on in the game, we always have to be interested in a guy like this when he's projected for such low captain ownership. Jameson Williams right now, we have it 4% on DraftKings, 2% on FanDuel. He's pretty low in the flex too, only 30% projected ownership on both sites. And his salary is right in that range. That's actually super helpful tonight, a little bit cheaper than Devonta Smith. So let's go with Goff. We'll fade Amon-Ra in this one. Jalen Hurts. We'll try A.J. Brown. And then we can go to one of the value guys. We don't even have to. We could do something cool with Dave Montgomery, one of the kickers, one of the defenses. We could, I don't know if I love Lions defense as much as Philly defense tonight, but they're both solo owned. So Lions defense doesn't let us get anything. Just try Khalif Raymond. 7,200 left. Nope. Brock Wright. Yeah, Devonta Smith. Not a bad lineup with Jameson Williams, captain. I feel like we would want Hurts in a Jameson Williams captain lineup with at least one of his receivers, right? Maybe we could try it, get a little bit different with Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert's a really strong flex play. 6,300. Could try Saquon still, 3,000 to Khalif Raymond. So yeah, just these mid-range, and these mid-range tonight is Devonta Smith down to Jameson Williams, like these three, and even Saquon. I think these are all really, really solid captain options. And I guess I am leaning a little bit towards Philadelphia tonight. It just, these Detroit value plays are so good in Brock Wright and Khalif Raymond, just a lot more clear than whatever else we have going on in Philadelphia at the bottom. A.J. Brown captain percentage. So we still have him projected for 11% captain and 4% FanDuel MVP. Let me refresh, but I don't know. I guess he could come in that high. It does sound, I wouldn't be surprised if he came in a little bit lower though, right? A.J. Brown, and his price being at 8K, like, it just works. I mean, I've been plugging in Devonta Smith into most of these dummy lineups, but AJ Brown is pretty much in the same boat as Devonta Smith. Devonta's not that far ahead on the model, so. And AJ Brown, I mean, yeah, like someone mentioned, he's been really upset lately. It's a decent total on this game, so if he can just get one of these 6, 9, 8, 10 target games like he was, I mean, this was kind of an anomaly for the season. Yeah, AJ Brown's probably going to come in under owned no matter what. Michael Wilson, 10 for 152. Yeah, like what is happening today? Kenneth Gainwell, too. Josh Allen. It's so funny when Josh Allen scored his 6th touchdown. Everyone is just complaining about him, calling him a jerk. In every group chat I had, not a single person praised him for his performance. It's all just everybody F Josh Allen in this. You feel like this could be the AJ Brown breakout game for the season? Yeah, it's not a bad one. Let's build an AJ Brown lineup over on FanDuel and see how that looks. So we got AJ Brown, plug in Jalen Hurts in the flex. Let's see if we can get Goff with Jameson Williams. Leaves us 6,500 per player. It's a little bit to play with, I guess. I mean, the kickers are easy. They're a little bit higher owned on FanDuel, though. The defenses are both still pretty low owned. Could do Eagles defense, 68. Get to one of the kickers. It's fine for, excuse me. That could be fine for large field, too, actually. Then you don't even have to get down to this value range of guys at all. But let's say that we did get down to Khalif Raymond. Leaves us 10,200. We can plug in Devonta Smith. I guess if we get down to Brock Wright, that leaves us another player, right? 2,200. Yeah, we get to Saquon. So, not bad. I do want to mention one guy I just noticed down here. Is it Darius Cooper? Yeah, Darius Cooper. This guy played last week. Let me just double check this. Played 11 snaps last week. He hadn't played a snap in 6 weeks. He played 20 snaps over the first 3 weeks total. But he played 17% last week. Jahan Dotson, I don't know if he got hurt or something. He's fine tonight. But yeah, Han Dotson lost a lot of work last week, and Darius Cooper got some snaps. He didn't do anything with them, but just want to mention that since he's down here, and I guess he could play tonight. Oh, yeah, and Sean Tucker was the big one. Shout out to Best Ball Bros if you watched Chris and I streaming over the summer. Yeah, we were on Sean Tucker. Devonta Smith birthday. We got another narrative. It's Devonta Smith's birthday. Devonta Smith's birthday. I mean, he's looked great. He is the number one receiver on this team. I mean, you could say AJ Brown is more skilled, sure, but Devonta's played more snaps this season. He's commanded more targets. He's gotten one more red zone target, so it's not significant. Most of the red zone work goes to Saquon and Jalen Hurts anyway, so that's not something we're too concerned about. I will mention Dallas Goedert has 7 red zone targets this season, which is higher than AJ or Devonta Smith, so just another point for playing Dallas Goedert in the flex. You think Darius Cooper's a made-up name? I mean, he's 1,200. They cared about him enough to make him not the minimum price over on FanDuel, so. Be here for another couple of minutes. Let me just run through the plug real quick and make sure I didn't miss anything I wanted to hit on. Yeah, just, big thing beyond whatever projections are showing you tonight. We need that injury report because depending on who's out for the Lions, Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker are probably the 2 most significant. They definitely are the 2 most significant. If Penei Sewell's out, that's a big hit to the Dallas run game. I'd be a lot more interested in Philadelphia DST, and I would lower my interest in Gibbs and Montgomery. If Taylor Decker's out, it's still a hit to the offense, but it's not as large of a impact as Penei Sewell being out would be. And then the Lions missing at least one of their top cornerbacks and their free safety, and then their other cornerbacks questionable. I mean, we've been talking up Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, basically the whole Eagles passing game this whole show, so they would get another boost too. So I think that's kind of the route I'm going tonight. Say like my top lineup on FanDuel would be something like Saquon Barkley at MVP. We'll run Jalen Hurts. We could probably skip these 3 guys. Maybe we'll take a shot on Jameson Williams as our one Lion guy that we hope catches a touchdown. We'll slide Devonta Smith in there. So he was 7,050 per player. I mean, you can still get to Dallas Goedert and then Philadelphia Eagles defense. Maybe you can even do something weird, not even play Devonta. Just play Jake Elliott. do a 5-1 Philadelphia stack. I thought 5-1 Philadelphia stacks were going to be a little bit awkward because the two best value plays are on Detroit and Brock Wright and Khalif Raymond. But looking at something like this, if you're utilizing the defense and Jake Elliott, you can make 5-1 Philadelphia stacks where the field is going to build very evenly today between both teams. I still have it open. Yeah, I think 3-3 is projected to be the highest owned construction tonight, and then 4-2s for both teams are going to be pretty equal. 5-1s for both teams are going to be pretty equal. They're not going to be unowned, but if you've built lineups today, then you should be able to see that the Philadelphia 5-1 is just a little bit more, it's less intuitive than the Detroit 5-1, because the Detroit 5-1 is fairly easy. I mean, MVP, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra. We'll do Dave Montgomery. I'm not sure if we'll have a salary for Jahmyr Gibbs, but then I guess you could just plug in the two value plays down here, Brock Wright, Khalif Raymond. Oh, that's way too much salary left over. Yeah, so we could even still fit in Jalen Hurts, 7,400. Yeah, get to Jake Bates. Pretty easy Detroit 5-1. Maybe you want to fit in Detroit's defense if you're taking this route, 4,200. You can still get to Khalif Raymond or Brock Wright. Just leave a little bit of salary on the table. In week 8, Darius Cooper played 44% of snaps. This season, I'm seeing 0. Let me see. He wasn't on the Eagles last year. Yeah, unless the data I'm looking at is incorrect, I don't think he played a snap between weeks 4 and 9, Darius Cooper. Brown captain, assuming this is DraftKings. So we'll do A.J. Brown captain. Saquon. Gibbs. Goddard and St. Brown. Oh, is that Darius playing? Is that Darius Cooper at 200? Yeah, so I don't know if I love it. It's a little different on DraftKings, I guess, because he's only $200. He's an in price on FanDuel too, but I'm just gonna lump all these 200 guys. I mean, Darius Cooper, Ross Dwelly, Shane Zylstra's on IR, I guess. That's why I didn't come up when I was looking at this earlier. I don't know. I think I said it every week, and it's actually worked out a couple of the weeks, but I just don't think these $200 guys are necessary today. Yeah, we have all the studs at the top, and I already mentioned the fantasy scoring is concentrated, but we have decent value plays. I mean, here, you're only 200 away from Brock Wright. Said Dallas Goedert, go to David Montgomery. I'm just always going to lean towards getting away from the 200 guys unless Brock Wright is out tonight and then Ross Dwelly becomes a starting tight end. Then, yeah, we're probably just playing Ross Dwelly in every lineup we make. Yeah, I don't love it. I mentioned Darius Cooper because you could see the field, but I don't even think I don't even think he was on the model, so we didn't even project him for I don't know if that means we didn't project him for a route or we didn't project him for a target, but either way, it's not great for Darius Cooper. From PFR. Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing 0% of snaps. It could be wrong. Either way, if he did play those snaps, Darius Cooper, he didn't do anything with them, right? I mean, hasn't drawn a target all season, so it's amongst the other min-price long shots that we talk about, this is one of the longest shots that we've had. Especially, Jahan Dotson is on Philadelphia, and he actually plays a decent amount of snaps, but he just doesn't touch the football. Where's Jahan Dotson? I guess this is one of those long shots you could take a shot on tonight at super low ownership. I mean, drawing one target isn't great. One target could be enough, but if he gets 3 targets, it's not the worst result. This 8.9 fantasy points could be useful as a pivot off of Khalif Raymond or Brock Wright if you have that extra salary to get to Dotson. So I'll throw him out as a pivot, but that's about it. I don't think he's a good pivot, but if you're making a large set of lineups, he's projected for 0% ownership, Jahan Dotson. So I'm not sure why he missed or why he played so few snaps last week, though. Yeah, lowest total in 2 seasons as an Eagle. It doesn't say anything about being hurt, so I don't know. I'll just throw it out there. 0% pivot if you're playing the Millie over on DraftKings or the large one on FanDuel. think I ran through everything that I wanted to get to today. We have a lot of options. I'll just reiterate, kind of like getting away from Jalen Hurts captain a little bit, but I guess you can find some low on plays and leave some salary on the table if you want to play him at captain and MVP to not be very duplicated. But this range of mid-range guys is pretty strong. Let me just take one look at another Dallas Goedert captain. We already did Goddard. Let's do David Montgomery captain. So we'll fade Gibbs. Could probably still get to Amon-Ra and Goff here. Get to Jalen Hurts, Saquon, 200 away from getting to Brock Wright. Fade Amon-Ra here. Do AJ Brown, 4,200. Get the Eagles defense or Lions defense. Khalif Raymond is going to be, probably the default choice for a lot of people here. But given the ownership difference and the other things that I've been talking about in regards to why Eagles defense could be better tonight, kind of like that. Even against a Detroit player in the captain spot, I think it's fine. So appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're not a member of Occupy Fantasy, remember you can join the site for as little as $7 a week. It's $1 a day, gets you access to the plug and the model for all the sports that we offer. And we are in the thick of NBA season, in the thick of NFL season. Hockey started, I guess. I don't watch hockey, so I'm not sure. But it's one of the best values in fantasy sports, so I encourage you to join. If you want to chat with the members, instructions to join the Discord are in the description below. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you next week. Good luck.